I'm Edward Warfield, the publisher of City Biz, and I'm honored today to interview Glen Silverman, who is the CEO of US Orthopaedic Partners. Welcome, Glen.
Thank you, Edwin. It's a pleasure to be here.
Can you provide an introduction to USOP?
Sure. I'm happy to. So USOP was formed in November of 2020 through the acquisition of a group in Jackson, Mississippi called Mississippi Sports Medicine, which is really just a really large orthopedic group in Jackson, Mississippi. And that's how USOP got started. We headquarter in Alpharetta, Georgia, and that's where we kind of established our MSO. And you know who we are is just we are a growth-oriented orthopedic platform, and we partner with like-minded orthopedic groups around building quality and building partnerships, and very standard kind of platform model for private equity.
And so how many locations, and how many orthopedic partners do you have now?
Yeah, so we have, I believe the last count is 12. So we've been fairly busy over the 2.5 years we've been in existence. And when we look to partner with groups, there's a lot of different things we look for. The first thing, quite honestly, is our thesis is built around density and scale. So we're really it's really important to us to kind of stay within the Southeast space, and we look for groups that kind of fit the mold. You know, they're typically high profile groups within their markets. They typically have a really strong brand, really high quality groups, and like I said, I think we're up to 12. We have a couple more under LOI and currently in 3 states and about to head into our 4th.
And so let's go back to and talk about back in 2020 when you founded the company. To walk us through just the thought process of of private equity. Private equity. It's interesting to see their role in healthcare. And how did you reach the conclusion that you really wanted to have a private equity partner?
Yeah, so I think private equity, of course, has dove pretty deep into other sectors of the healthcare space. So as orthopedics starts to become attractive, it makes a lot of sense. So I do appreciate you kind of pointing out that the article I wrote a couple of years back on the journey into private equity, and I think that stands true today. I mean, it really is about forming a quality group, and that's exactly what we did. Is we put together the group in Jackson, Mississippi, just in terms of it's just a group of firsts. They have 2 really strong fellowship programs. Probably the largest outpatient surgery center in the Southeast. 4 robots that do surgery for them. First in Mississippi to get to value-based care. It's really just a company of first. And so the thought process is, hey, we have a lot to offer the rest of the country. Here we are in little old Jackson, Mississippi, and we're ahead of 99% of the rest of the country in orthopedics and the progressiveness of the company. And so from a timing standpoint and the tailwinds that we felt were in the sector, we thought the timing was perfect to start an MSO. So although we found each other, we got to a point at Mississippi Sports Medicine where we were thinking about what's next, right? After we became the 2,000-pound gorilla in the local market, how do we go out there and expand this thought process and partner with like-minded groups around the country? And that's kind of how the journey started.
And so you've been on an acquisition terror. Can you walk us through what is it, almost a dozen acquisitions since 2020? Can you walk us through those acquisitions and just highlight some of the important deals that you've done?
Yeah, well, they're all important. They're all important in their own markets. Of course, some probably have a little bit higher visibility than others, but I'll walk you through them real quick. And again, remember the thesis behind this is scale and density, right? We want to create in each state, we want to have a proverbial seat at the table with insurance companies and we want to be big enough that where, as you see others consolidate, and health systems and insurance companies consolidate, that we have enough scale to have a seat at the table and work and create better value for our physician partners. So that's kind of the thesis going into it. So we started in Mississippi, and we of course acquired Mississippi Sports Medicine in Q4 of 2020, and then we followed that up with an acquisition of a pain management group also in Jackson, and that was Q1. And then Oxford Orthopedics in Oxford, Mississippi, also Q1. And then the Orthopedic Alliance, which is a pretty large group in Tupelo, Mississippi, and that was in Q2 of 2001. So you can kind of see how we went to the state and we kind of expanded quickly. And since then, we've made one additional acquisition in the state, and that's in Bienville Orthopedics, which is a really large and exciting group that we partnered with on the coast of Mississippi. Really large, progressive group, large outpatient surgery presence, really fits the mold of kind of who we are and where we're heading. So that kind of is what Mississippi looks like today. And then we kind of took our pencil and moved to Alabama, and we did the same thing. So we rolled up, Andrews Sports Medicine in Birmingham, which is undoubtedly one of the most popular and familiar names in all of orthopedics. And then moved to Huntsville, Alabama, and acquired SportsMed, which is a really large group. Huntsville, Alabama is the fastest growing market in Alabama, so that made a lot of sense. And then moved over and picked up Southern Orthopedics in Montgomery. Again, another really a group that sits in the middle of the nowhere in Montgomery, which is a great area, but it really is its own market. There's not much, once you get outside of that Montgomery area. And then there's a great group, North Alabama Bone and Joint, which is in Florence, Alabama, which was another nice acquisition too. And most of those happened in 2022. And again, same thesis around building scale in a market, and that's what we did, in Alabama. And then we recently kind of moved into Louisiana, and we have our first purchase was a group in Louisiana called Ortho Associates of New Orleans, and then we moved and picked up a group in Alexandria, Louisiana, called Midstate Orthopedics, another great group of folks that we're really excited to partner with. And I think that rounds out currently kind of the 11 or 12 acquisitions to date for USOP.
And so, can you summarize? So, what is the footprint now?
Yeah, so the footprint is very southeast based, right? So Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana. We like continuous states. We're heading into a fourth state. We've got another group under LOI in a fourth state. So hopefully we'll close that out soon. So that's kind of been since day one. How we think about expansion, right? Like so, it's not go out and just buy assets for the sake of owning. It's buying meaningful assets in markets that create density for us, so that we, can do things that make sense. Vendor contracts, MSA agreements, payer agreements, whatever they are, they make a lot more sense when you can create that scale and density around the market.
And so, how mature is the consolidation in the orthopedic space? And are you seeing other roll-ups out there?
Yeah, so very very exciting. It's a great question. I think to start the answer to that question, it's very immature still. There's less than 5% of the sector is rolled up, so it's a lot of opportunity out there. What's really interesting though is we were I believe the fourth platform. And again, October 2020 is when we started, and now there's about 15 or 16 platforms out there. So kind of where will this head? I think there's a ton of opportunity. I think the space, there'll be a lot of opportunity buying groups. And there'll also be opportunities, timing, you can argue timing of when, but there'll also be consolidation of consolidators as well. I don't think there's room for 15 orthopedic platforms, but there'll be 3 or 5 of us that are predominant and kind of rise to the top as the industry or the sector matures a little bit in the near future.
So your capital partner for USOP is FFL, Friedman, Fleischer, Lowell. How did you find them? And tell us, how did you decide that they were the right private equity partner?
Yeah, so it's a great story. They're out of San Francisco, and they like most private equity folks that you'll find, like they're really smart people, and they do a lot of research before they jump in to organize a new platform, and this is no different. They did a lot of research on orthopedics, and really were looking for the right group for about a year and a half. And so what happened is, again, going back to kind of how we started in our journey, is we started looking for private equity partners to talk to. And we found another group, a group by the name of Thurston out of Chicago. It's a smaller fund, but it's been around for a long time, since the 80s. And we really like the leadership there. And that's kind of how we originally struck up a deal with this Thurston group. But what happened was COVID came along and the debt markets closed down. And Thurston, being a smaller fund, had to find a partner to bridge that debt gap. And that's how we ended up with FFL. And of course, I'm really happy that we did. Like they've been a great partner. When I take a step back and look back, from kind of at a 2,000-foot view, I think they do really well with what I call first dollar investment, which is building the platform. They're really helpful in creating value and adding value, supporting us, giving us guidance, but not overburdening us. They trust the process, they trust the people, and how could you really ask for a better partner than that?
And as you continue to do more acquisitions, will they have the capital to support you, or will you need to bring in other private equity players?
Yeah, so I think yet to be determined, right? I mean, I think at some point we'll outgrow their fund size, I'm guessing they've really enjoyed kind of the ride so far, and so I'm guessing they'll want to stay involved, even if there's a new capital partner that comes into play at some point. But we're open to it. I mean, look, it's no secret, the inflation and interest rates, they all slow down things a little bit, right? So we just need to be, acquisition will slow down a little bit, but not stop, right? We'll just be a little bit more careful. Multiples will come down. They're going to have to acquire groups. Groups might have to, even take a little bit more in equity going forward, right? But it won't stop. I mean, it's just, you change with the times, and this will cycle through as well. And we'll get to the other side of this. And, the goal is to be, a very well run MSO, one that we're proud of, one that we add value for our doctors, and one that's just prepared to grow, significantly on the other side of kind of the tightening of interest rates and so forth. So, again, it'll be a cycle like anything else.
Well, I hate to even ask this question given your track record of acquisitions, but what are your growth plans? And what territories? Where? Uh, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina. Yeah.
Yeah, so all the above. I mean, I think it's important to first state that growth has to be two-pronged, right? You have to grow organically, especially now, right? Like you've got to, and so we spend a lot of energy, kind of in the internal side of the platform. Like, how do we get the organic growth we know that's there? And if you really think about it, there's still a lot of tailwinds, right? I mean, we're dealing with insurance companies that are very friendly right now and are pushing us into outpatient space and developing our own ASCs. An aging population, a population that, prevalence of diseases like obesity, arthritis, diabetes, all, create a very unbalanced supply demand relationship for us, which we really enjoy in our non-urban markets, right? There's always more demand than there is supply. And so so there's a lot of opportunity for organic growth that will really kind of sink our teeth into and really grow organically. But to your earlier point, M&A will still play a part of it. We like the Florida market. We'll probably still focus in the Southeast for some time until we kind of think it's scalable into the Midwest or Northeast. But there's other platforms up there, and so far we've kind of all stayed out of each other's sandboxes. But eventually, the time will come when we kind of cross over each other's territories.
And so, is there any part of the Glenn Silverman story, other than your guitar forays, anything about your life that you'd like to share with us, and anything about USOP that you haven't shared with us that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, so my story is just I consider myself a blue collar executive. I always have. I mean, I'm not. I'm an employee advocate. I always have been. I always will be. What's exciting about orthopedic roll up to me is that it's growth oriented, and that really fits me. If I can if I my goal is not to take food off anyone's plate, it's to give employees the opportunity. When I think about, and the speech I give to employees is, if nothing changes for you, right, your paycheck is still the same, the process you go through is every day is still the same, and I give you an opportunity where we're in 5, 10, 15 states in 5, 10 years, and you have the ability to transfer anywhere you want and stay with the company you've enjoyed. Have I done more damage or more good? Right. So as an employee advocate, I feel like I'm really where we're heading is in the right direction. And that's me in general. I'm very transparent. My philosophies are around, building integrity, and, you only have one chance to lose your integrity. I'm a data junkie, right? So I'm, very big on driving decision making using data to drive that decision making. So, all those things are about me. I think as USOP grows, there's just a tremendous amount of opportunity, and it's a platform that was built by orthopedic doctors for orthopedic doctors. So I think it's important to close it out by saying, like, these doctors are fully bought in. Like, it's their company. They know it is. And they all strive to make USOP better. When we have hiccups, we get together, we fix what we can, but there's an understanding of the bigger picture here, right? So I think most of these doctors, they joined USOP because they believe in the strength in numbers, and what that will mean down the road as things continue to consolidate around us. So I think we're extremely bullish on where we're heading.
Well, Glenn, I want to thank you for sharing your time and your vision, and we keep us surprised as you continue your acquisitions and your guitar playing.
Thank you, Edwin. I appreciate the time this afternoon.